Why is Penn State struggling to keep their commitments? Because they've lost 11 between the 26 and 27 classes, and the Florida Gators haven't lost anybody. Why is that?
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast a part of your day, each and every day, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We're going to be discussing some really talented quarterbacks from the Bayou. Three of them, Malachi Zeigler, Peyton Houston, and Elijah Haven. Those three guys are going to help set the pace in the class of 27. Several of these young men are close to decisions, or in the case of Peyton Houston, he has committed to LSU. There are a lot of opportunities. Break down a little bit of film and just kind of give an overview. I've had the opportunity to see all three of them live. Going to talk about them, their recruitments, and basically how they can change the landscape as we go into the 27 cycle really, really soon. We're also going to talk about a few of the commitments, decommitments that are going on. But the primary thing that I want to talk about, because this is bizarre to me, and I hope some of you that are in the chat or anybody that leaves a comment on YouTube can possibly help me a little bit. Why in the world is Penn State sitting at 7 decommitments from the class of 26 and 4 more in the class of 27, while almost in the same week, the head coach at Florida, Billy Napier, is fired, and the Gators aren't losing anybody? We're going to break that down and talk about it. But just a quick note, for those of you that are listening to this later on after I do this live show, if you're on audio, I'm putting the video at the end. If you don't want to listen to that because I'm going over video, just come check it out on YouTube. More than happy to have you there. But I'm going to do video breakdowns every day on these live shows. So I'm going to put those last. So first off here, the Florida and Penn State jobs are renowned. If you're a college football coach assistant, if you're a back office staff member, whatever it may be, it's really difficult to go wrong with either one of those jobs. They pay well. They're big state universities. They have history. They have national championships, all those things. Having stated that, the discrepancy with the firings and how things are going is wild. So here are a few questions that I have. Obviously, why is it happening is the first part of this, but let's go over it. Can Penn State rebound? And what I mean by rebound, can they secure some of these kids that are still in the class of 26? And on top of it, perhaps not only get some of the kids that have decommitted to jump back in the class, but add to it. Here are the two problems. Number one is this timeline. It's timeline. College football season ends around November 29th for the regular season. National Signing Day is the first Wednesday thereafter. That's a problem. That's December 3rd. How is that going to work out? How's that going to work out? Your next coach, unless you hire somebody like, let's say, Florida hired James Franklin, which would be ironic. I don't think that's going to happen, but he's available. Unless you hire somebody that is literally available right now who is not coaching, how do you get a class together? I don't know if you can. You can tell somebody, if you're in the Florida administration or the athletic department, hey, this is what we're doing, by all means. But if you can't announce it publicly, parents, coaches, trainers, everybody around the young men that are being recruited, maybe even committed to your program, they're probably not going to have full buy-in to that. They need to see it on TV. They need to see it circulating on social media. And they really kind of need to hear from that individual directly. It's just the way it is. So not just Florida or Penn State, to be clear, every single school that changes coaches every year moving forward, as long as National Signing Day is that first week in December, you're in a really bad spot. It's just the way it falls. It's awkward. You're going to lose recruits, and probably, not a guarantee, but it's going to be a struggle to keep recruits. Can you? Yes. The main way is whoever the interim is has to be really good, has to buy into the program. Maybe it's a lifelong coach. Coach Smith at Penn State was with Franklin the entire time. He's been there 12 years. 12. He knows football. He's been around it. He knows Penn State. He knows Happy Valley. He's going to do a pretty good job, but still they lost 11 guys, 4 from 27, and 7 more from the class of 26 already. It's not easy. Coaches are very important, but that head coach, if he's an elite recruiter, and Franklin absolutely is, that's going to have its problems for you. You can't do anything about it. You just have to make sure that you bring everybody in and rally the troops as much as you can from an administrative point of view, and along with the coaches that remain. I don't know how Penn State will do, because the questions from parents that I always get when I speak to parents in these situations, or their trainers, whatever it may be, hey, when will I know? And I always tell them basically about the same time I will, when they announce it publicly, because of contracts and all the legal stuff. This is not a quick situation. You're not going to know who the coordinator is, assistants, because as soon as the head coach is named, all these, even they know their entire staff, the way these institutions work, these background checks are forever. They're 2-3 weeks. It may not be until Christmas or later that you can even announce your staff. That's just the legal part of it. So it's an unfortunate set of circumstances for everybody in college football. Right now, Virginia Tech, UCLA, Oklahoma State, Penn State, Florida, and everybody else, Colorado State, etc., they're all going through the same problem. So if Penn State doesn't reel in a bunch of guys, it is what it is. In my advice, it's kind of crazy that Florida has more, and I'll dive into that more in just a sec, but you have to rally your troops as best as you can. Now as for why Florida is absolutely keeping their guys, the Florida brand is big. They're in the SEC, which is big. A lot of the kids are local that they're recruiting. Their NIL is really good. It's probably better than Penn State's, what they're willing to pay up front. Some of these kids are probably getting paid now in some capacity, whether that's fair or not. That's reality of college football. And lastly, they've got a few guys like Will Griffin in this class that are really trying to galvanize it. They're going to go to Florida come hell, come high water. That's a nice little bonus for the Gators. He's not the only one. Jay Raylan McCoy, kid out of Mississippi, etc. There are several that just decide, I'm just going to go to Florida. It's a little bit of potluck, but it's also selling the Florida brand, selling the SEC, selling the swamp, selling the opportunity to play in front of a fan base that's rabid. All those things, sometimes it just resonates more for certain schools. I don't know why it happened to be Florida this time, but nobody has officially dropped out. To that end, just to be clear, this could change at a moment's notice. Some of these kids will still probably take visits, at least unofficially, over the next month. Why wouldn't they? You got to have a plan B in case the next hire is not somebody that fits what you want to do. I get it. And unfortunately, again, every program is going to go through this. What are you going to do about it? But we're going to see some of those young men that are helping out the program. They're still going to probably not be able to help out enough. Billy Gonzalez, the longtime receiver coach, he was under Urban Meyer. He played for Urban Meyer way back in the day at Bowling Green. That's where I actually met him. That guy is the interim. He knows Florida well. That probably helped too. Those were good hires for interim coaches for both schools. Is it important for both Florida, Penn State, or any other school, Virginia Tech, to hire a coach that has quote unquote ties to the region for recruiting? Yes, but there are exceptions. The two, one I already mentioned, of recent memory, Nick Saban and Urban Meyer. Nick and Urban are both guys that spent a lot of time in Ohio, in the Midwest, in their coaching careers. Both of them. But when LSU hired Nick away from Michigan State, year 4, he won a national title. He's got no ties to Louisiana. He ends up going to the Dolphins briefly, goes to Alabama. He has no ties to Bama. If you're elite, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. But in the case of Penn State, Matt Rule, he played at Penn State. That would be good. Okay, I don't think he's an elite recruiter. I don't think he's an elite coach, but at least the fit would be there. He would relate to those players. He could talk about his time at Penn State, all of those things. For Florida, obviously the top guy is Kiffin. Is he going to end up at UF? I don't know. But his ex-wife, who he's back with, she's a Florida grad. She has ties to that school in other ways. And he just loves the state of Florida, and he's recruited the state of Florida heavily for Ole Miss. And when he was at Alabama, he recruited there. When he was at USC, he helped recruit in Florida. He has ties there in an unusual amount of ways, but that's part of it. And then don't forget, he was also the Florida Atlantic head coach down in South Florida for a little while after he left Alabama. So ties are going to be pretty important. for each of these programs that do this. But if you can get an elite coach for whatever program it is and how you want to remedy that as an elite coach for that school to hire, yeah, it's possible you can hire somebody without any ties to that area. It's, if Matt Campbell went to Florida, he's an Ohio guy that's now coaching in Iowa. That doesn't sound like somebody that would end up at Florida, but Urban Meyer, born in Ohio, went to Cincinnati, coached grad assistant at Ohio State, Colorado State, ends up at Notre Dame, then goes to Bowling Green, then goes to Utah. Like, none of that had anything to do with the South. Again, if it's elite, it doesn't matter. And from Utah, he went to Florida. He won 2 titles. So anything is possible, but it is probably best if you can to get somebody with ties. How much is NIL a factor when these things are in transition? Huge. I briefly mentioned it a minute ago. I have no way to verify this, but I bet you some of these kids are getting money at all these different schools to try to keep them in the fold for the next coach, or that's at least something some of them will do. Could be a reason, honestly, that Florida's doing better than Penn State. That wouldn't surprise me. And then finally, let's talk about this. Penn State, Florida, let's just use those as the barometer. I think Florida's got a better chance to end up with a higher name coach. I don't know if it'll work out better, but it's just pot luck because of the things I talked about with Lane. Like, they're going after Marcus Freeman or whatever. He's not going to go, but at least they're trying. Penn State probably tried with Marcus Freeman too. You got to swing for the fences with some of these guys, Drinkwitz, Braum, etc. But who is Penn State going to hire that's exciting for the recruits? And here's what I mean by this, not just the name, but like statistically, how it looks on highlights. And I'll just put it in like this. Defense wins championships, passing sells tickets, and it gets a lot of viewers. Ole Miss the last 3 years, this is their statistics under Lane. 8th in the country at 304 yards this year, with 2 different quarterbacks, by the way. Last year, 350.8, second in the country. And in 2023, a down year, because they ran the ball better, 285.6 yards through the year, 19th. He has an exciting up-tempo offense. People kind of gravitate towards it. I think recruits do too. Matt Rule is probably not going to excite people as much because he's more of a grinded-out coach, more balanced, defense first. It can win more, but does that excite recruits? I have my guesses that it may not. And again, everybody has their own pick on who should go to these schools, and they're in their elite jobs. Both schools, I think, will end up doing well with their hires, whoever they may be. But do not be surprised if Florida retains its class and has a little more familiarity, because Penn State's going to get a guy from Nebraska that's not exciting. They haven't been winning. Ole Miss is a team that might make the playoff. They have a passing offense that's very exciting for years. Kiffin's a personality that everybody knows from social media. Right now, I think some of the Florida recruits are expecting Lane. And if that ends up going away, you could see some of these kids drop off, but we'll see. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the commits, decommits that are going on, and then break down some film. That is next, right here on the Portal Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by Quo. One of the tools that help you make a huge difference for your business is Quo, formerly Open Phone. It's the same great business phone system you've heard me talk about before, just with a new name. And here's why it matters. Every missed call is money left on the table. Whenever a customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected. And Quo is the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer communications. It works right through an app on your phone or computer, so no more carrying 2 phones around or relying on a landline. If you're going to be out on the run, going out to do business or anything else, this is a game changer because it's got an AI agent that's going to help you capture leads. It's going to keep your business running while you're not available. See why over 90,000 business owners trust Quo, formerly Open Phone. Get started free with 20% off your first 6 months. Quo.com/LockedOnCollege. That's Quo.com/LockedOnCollege. Keep everything you've got, including your existing numbers, for free with Quo. No missed calls and no missed customers. We are also brought to you by FanDuel. New FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. That's right. Put down $5. If it hits, you get $300 to use across the FanDuel app. So if you want to bet on the NFL games coming up this weekend, sure, halftime scores, player props, Patrick Mahomes, or anybody else, Joe Burrow. Doesn't matter how you want to do it. Parlays, halftime scores, players, you can do it with FanDuel. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com and download the FanDuel app today to get started. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast a part of your day, each and every day, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Just want to go over a couple of different commitments and things kind of going on in the recruiting world. Wasn't a quote-unquote super busy day, but there are some interesting things that have gone on. Actually going to start off in the class of 27, a couple of really good linemen. James Halter, his dad, also ended up at Notre Dame. James Halter has committed to Notre Dame. He's a really talented offensive tackle out of Central Catholic in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's a tradition-rich program. They've always had players. He's an interesting story because his dad played at Notre Dame from 89 to like 93 or something like that. This kid was a tight end until this year. He's only played 6 games at tackle. I watched some of his film. He's got some pretty good technique, and he's already in the 260-pound range. He's the developmental guy with really good feet and some good upper body power. James Halter is a good pickup for the Fighting Irish in the class of 27. Levi, I'm probably going to mispronounce this, Babin or Babin, I'm not sure which. He's out of Episcopal in Alexandria, Virginia. 6'1", 195 pounds. He's an athlete. He has committed to play for the Maryland Terrapins. In Syracuse, they're staying busy with Fran Brown. He's one of the best recruiters in the country. Give him credit. Old Bridge in Matawan, New Jersey, interior offensive lineman, 6'7", 343 pounds. Connor Long has committed to the Cuse. And there's still a little bit going on with the class of 2026 as well. We'll probably see, I would say in a couple more weeks, commitments and decommitments really pick up, but there's still a few here as well. Excuse me. In the last couple of days, just yesterday, Alexander Haskell, he decommitted from Penn State, flipped to Syracuse. Haskell is a defensive lineman out of St. Joe's Prep in Philadelphia. That's a really good pickup for Fran Brown. Good for him. Isaiah Pena, he's out of Southlake and Groveland, Florida, tight end, 6'6", 225. He is committed to Virginia Tech. Think about this. Tech doesn't even have a coach. I don't know who's responsible for that, but you got to give credit to Tech. Brandon Galladay out of Antioch, Tennessee, a wide receiver, 6 foot, 170 pounds. He is committed to Arkansas State. Now, as it relates to the decommitments, like I said, we've already got the Haskell commitment to talk about because he's flipped. But at the same time, there's still some other kids too, like they're decommitting here recently. A lot of things going on, and I don't know why, but it is what it is. Braylon Edwards, Duncanville High School, one of the best programs in the country, has decommitted from SMU. He's a corner. He's about 180 pounds, 5'10". SMU has done pretty good locally, but they need to win at Duncanville. They need to win at like Cedar Hill, in any of those other programs, Forney and Lancaster. They need to win at all those programs. Keep an eye on SMU. I don't know why. They're on a pretty good streak right now. They're trending in the right direction. They beat Miami in a few weeks. I'll be curious to see if they get their recruiting going again. But SMU's class hasn't been quite as good as I thought it would be, especially with their NIL. Isaiah Broughton, defensive lineman, 6'3", 300 pounds. He's a kid out of Cy Ridge down in Houston. He decommitted from UNLV. That's a kid that you can't really afford to lose defensive linemen if you're UNLV. They got a lot of defensive problems. Braden Riley out of St. Xavier, one of the best programs in Cincinnati, decommitted from Northwestern. He's a linebacker, 6'3", 200 pounds. And USF, Sincere Berry out of Westlake in Atlanta, that's the same high school as Cam Newton, has decommitted from the USF Bulls. He's a corner, 6'2", 170 pounds. Now, I also want to break down a little bit of film. I have 3 guys that I want to talk about. Unfortunately, only one has very much huddle film. So this is going to be a little more brief today. It's unfortunate, but I'm still going to play some of it, and I want to talk about all 3 first. Peyton Houston. He's the first one that I really kind of want to discuss. This is a kid that's a little smaller. He's 5'10". He's built like a running back. He's fast. He's athletic. He can make guys miss, and he's got a cannon for an arm. He's out of Shreveport, Louisiana, and he plays at Evangel Christian. And that is a program that's been good for a very, very long time. They're known for passing attacks. Very talented. Elijah Haven. He's out of the Dunham School in Baton Rouge. With LSU already having Peyton Houston committed, I'm curious to see where he goes. Penn State, Florida, several other schools were involved. Obviously, some of the coaches that he was looking at, they've been removed. I have no idea where he's going to go. His recruitment will be wild. For the record, 247 has him as the number 2 player in the country. He's pretty darn good. And then Malachi Zeigler. He's from Benton, Louisiana, just a few miles north of Shreveport in the northern part of the state. He's a kid that recently committed to SMU. He's another mobile quarterback that can move around and make plays, but he's got a good arm. I saw him in 7-on-7 last year. All 3 of these guys were recruited heavily before they made decisions, and it will continue on. I'm sure even though 2 of the 3 are quote-unquote off the board, I don't think that any of them are going to in any way, shape, or form end up being guys that we don't see something in regards to other teams trying to get them on campus. First guy I'll show is Malachi Zeigler. This is from his X page. It's really good, but at the same time, I don't think anybody's going to be surprised. You've probably heard of Zeigler if you've come onto this channel or if you're a recruiting nut. He's a guy that I'm trying to think of somebody that hit the stage a little early. Like, he's from a smaller school. Benton is not the biggest program in the world. So good for him for getting out there and getting the exposure that he needs. But he's a really talented player. And like this first play kind of sets it up. Nice shot down the field. Easy release. Good touch. Obviously, the guy's wide open, but he didn't overthrow him. These are his stats. 1,632 yards already midseason this year. He's got really good touch. This is what I saw when I saw Zeigler throwing the football around at the 7-on-7. His deep ball is what caught my attention. Yeah, he'll throw checkdowns and he'll hit little unders and crossers and stuff like that. But the deep ball is where he made his money. This throw right here is actually as good as it gets because he's on the move. Nice catch, too. Good throw over in the middle. And here's some of his elusiveness. Quarterbacks that are mobile. No defensive coordinator likes dealing with it. Look at that throw. That was a dime. Right over the middle. He does a good job at getting it just out of the way of the defensive backs and into the arms of his intended targets. He's got the arm to just throw darts, but you have to be able to throw a level 2 ball or like this, a level 3, where you use some trajectory. Zeigler absolutely has that. He's not afraid to go take it on either in the secondary with a linebacker. May not want to do that at the college level, but he's not afraid of contact. We'll watch one more play here, then we'll move on to somebody else. But as you can see, Zeigler, and again, he's going to SMU. He's a really good player. I think that SMU did great, and Rhett Lashley is a tremendous football coach. Zeigler fits his system very well. The quarterback that's currently at SMU is similar. I don't think he's quite as big physically, but it's a similar style. I think he will do pretty well. Got somebody in the chat here. I appreciate it. Adam, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Penn State won't hire anyone splashy. I think Manny Diaz would be a good fit. Love the show from Cookie Fruit. Thank you very much. All right, let's pull up another one here from the stats. I mean, Peyton Houston, this is a fun one. This is a longer film. We'll watch some of it. He's a really talented player. Peyton Houston, again, he's not the tallest guy. He's around 5'10", 5'11", but I'm telling you, he's got a cannon, and he's somebody that can absolutely throw it on a line. Peyton Houston has the ability to really be dynamic in LSU's offense once he gets his chance. Thrown between 2 guys. The coaching staff at Evangel must always be good because they've always focused on the pass game, and that's harder than running the football. You can see the arm strength there. When he lets it rip, Peyton has a gun. He takes pretty deep drops. I wonder if that's because of his height. That throw right there is about as good as it gets, in between the safety and linebacker. Here he doesn't overthrow the wide open receiver. And then again on the post, Splits the safeties. Nice comeback. He's not afraid to put the ball in the middle of the field. When you do that, it gives you a chance. This will be fun right here. Peyton Houston throws the ball really well off platform. Look at him roll one direction, cut back the other, and still make the throw. That one's against the grain. Spins out, throws against his body, throws a comeback. Man, he's just got a cannon. When I saw Peyton at Rivals 5-star, he might have had the strongest arm there. He was certainly in contention for it. And he was an underclassman at the time. He's just coming out of his sophomore year. So the film that you're seeing here should not be shocking. One more throw here from Peyton. Look at the arm strength, man. It's ridiculous. So anyway, Peyton Houston is absolutely a ridiculous talent. I'm curious to see how LSU's quarterback room works out. They've got a lot of young talent there. They got the kid that transferred in from Mississippi State that's from St. Francis in Baltimore. You know, that's a kid some people are talking about. They've got other quarterbacks there. I have no idea how that's going to work out after this year once Nussmeier leaves, but they're going to have plenty of options at LSU. Finally, the other quarterback that I want to talk about, I've only got one clip here that I want to show, and he's a heck of a player, but it's Elijah Haven. And again, backdrop to this, he's from Baton Rouge. He goes to a school there in town, Dunham School. It's not the highest level of competition, but he's a young man that's got the frame. He's like 6'4", 6'5", 215, 220 pounds. And as you can see right here, natural motion, little double move for the touchdown. He doesn't have all his highlights run together, so I'm not going to be able to show you much, but I just wanted to show that one clip there. As for what I think is going to happen with Dunham, this is a really interesting situation. If they keep him through next season and everything, can he get some more players there where they put up more film? Sure, I'm sure they will. But at that school, how do I project him? He's like a 1 or 2A school. That's interesting, but he still had Penn State, LSU, Florida, a whole bunch of offers. But as I mentioned a few minutes ago, this is kind of awkward. Elijah was looking hard at Florida. He was looking hard at Penn State. He visited Penn State, I believe it was for the game, the whiteout against Oregon. And then those two schools fire their coaches. It's just an opportunity for me to remind young men and their parents, it's cool to follow a coach somewhere. I get it. But you have to pick the school to the best of your ability. I know most of you still won't do this, based on the school first. Hardly any recruit does that. And that's why there's so much turnover in college football and so many transfers. But Elijah Haven could be successful in just about any system. He's fairly mobile, and he's got a big arm. He's got the height. He's at least 6'4". I've stood next to him a few times, and he's a very, very intelligent young man. I have no idea where he's going to go. LSU's off the board. They got Peyton Houston already. Penn State fired a coach. Florida fired their coach. Those are the three that I thought were the leading candidates. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But again, Elijah's in a situation where he'll figure it out in time, and he's a really talented football player. Thank you once again for checking out the Portal Podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're going to be doing more of these live shows each and every day. I'm going to put up the clips. For those of you on audio, I'm going to do a separate clip within 24 hours of just the film of the guys I do on the YouTube page, separate from the main show, so you can check them out that way as well if you just want to watch that. And thank you again. If you're on audio, make sure you like, you subscribe there too. And if you're on Apple specifically, hit that automatic down low wherever you are. Thank you once again for checking out the Portal Podcast. We'll see you again soon.